This is the Lulich Corner. I'm Jordan Lulich, and today I've got the pleasure of sitting down with Trendsetter Construction with Pat Gilligan. Pat, I appreciate you coming in, and before we start things off, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Pat Gilligan. I'm a general contractor. I reside here in Sebastian. My family's been here since 1994, but my wife's family's been here since the early 70s.
Okay.
So,
So you're local.
I'm a local now because I've been here almost 30 years at this
That's
point.
awesome.
I've actually been here longer than where I grew up in New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, we enjoy it.
Good. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and one of the reasons why, I invited you to come on the podcast, and I really appreciate you taking your time, but you're a new construction general contractor.
Yes.
And so we were talking a little bit before is your company focuses on new construction, which is custom homes.
Right.
And it's a certain niche. And so I thought it would be educational, and I thought it'd be beneficial for the audience, for the people who listen to the podcast, just to understand, to go over some of the different aspects of your company as well as the new construction process. And so I guess taking it from the beginning, how do you start that process of building a home? Like how does that process work? I don't have all day.
Okay, good. I'm going to give you the short story.
The short story.
Well, I mean, usually our clients approach us with either plan ideas, just to kind of get budgetary ideas of what that could cost. A lot of times I'll direct my potential clients to that property is really the specific that we want to get kind of locked in to even start the process, because we don't want to start designing a home before we know where this house is going to be built and if it's going to fit on that property or if there's going to be any kind of challenges. So typically I ask my clients, let's locate some property first that I will help them shop for, in a sense, at least put my eyes on it, give them any kind of thoughts I have on why it might be challenging or why it might be great, or not, just to avoid it altogether. So we kind of work hand in hand with the client and their realtors, to establish that starting point, if you will. So another important part of the conversation for us is talking about the budget, because a lot of times, and especially these days with inflation and all the challenges we have with the pandemic, pricing on things is just nowhere near where it was 5 years ago.
Right.
So I always try to get that out of the way, to get started. Just so, okay, here's what we'd like to build, what's feasible, for the type of construction that we do.
Right.
So a lot of times that can either change the game, end the game, or, be the start off.
What type of challenges do you think that your clients face when searching for properties? Because you say that one of the reasons why you like to be involved with the realtor and your client before they purchase the property is to avoid those challenges.
Sure.
So, do you have a recent challenge that you can talk about without naming any names?
Yeah, actually, we were just talking about it before we came on. We have a property right now where there was some, what they call middens, which I guess is like an Indian, not a burial ground, but where they used to throw all their debris and trash, years and years ago.
Yeah.
So, I guess very long ago, there had been these there that had been discovered. Fortunately for the client, there was a house there originally that has been demolished since. But since this was something that had occurred in the past, I guess it wasn't delved into then very,
thoroughly.
Yeah, thoroughly, let's say.
Yeah.
They want to now. So unfortunately, it's kind of holding up the process, which can obviously be a little, worrisome for our client. Obviously, he's got a lot of money invested. It's a multi-million-dollar project. So that is one of the most recent things. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
That's an example. That's an example challenge, and we were talking about that. I haven't run into that before previously as well. Yeah. So it's interesting, especially in real estate. There's always different challenges, but I could probably I'd guess, just looking from your perspective, a challenge could be maybe a client wants to build a house that's too big for a lot. Right.
Yes.
Or there's certain restrictions that and in an association that prevent them from doing exactly what they want. So. Those are some of the type of challenges. Now, and you brought up the pandemic as well. So, one of the things that we've seen that my clients have seen working with buyers who do new construction is just the cost of materials have exponentially increased. They've come down a little bit, but they've exponentially increased, starting in March, April of 2020. And so I'm sure that your clients have seen that. And that's one of the things that really has changed.
It's changed
how you handle when you sit down with a client. So after what we've been through, what do you tell a client when you sit down with them about the cost of materials?
Well, I don't like to scare clients, with let's be very concerned that this could blow up again, because obviously how often does that happen,
It doesn't happen often.
But luckily, if you talk about it to begin with, so the client at least is aware that these types of things do occur.
Right.
And, thankfully for us as a company, we had, verbiage in our contract that said, listen, if anything goes above 5% of what it typically would cost or what we bid it at, we're entitled to capture that overage. We didn't put a builder's markup on it. We just, hey, listen, if concrete goes up $30 a yard, that's a lot of money.
Cost of materials are higher.
Exactly. And we saw the same thing with labor too, because all of a sudden labor went through the roof. And that's a whole other challenge that we could get into because, as you can see, the whole face of construction is changing in the sense of you don't see a lot of young people out there anymore. They don't want to do that anymore.
They don't want to do it. So what do? How do you build these 3D printers, right?
Well, you know what? You see how how fast things are happening with AI and things that are, our business changes so fast anymore with the internet, and people's ability to reference information. It really is a challenging thing. So you really have to be kind of ahead of the game because people have a lot of questions.
Have you started to, or are you starting to look into incorporate AI into your company?
We've done a little bit of research because I'm really interested in it. We're nervous about it obviously too because all the things, just scary stuff you see on the internet, of course.
Yeah.
So, we've looked at it, not in depth, but just like as a way to say, we're going to get familiar with it. Cause I know there are going to be clients that will start to come to us to say, hey, listen, I've discovered this through this avenue and what can you tell me about, or how can we use it to, build my home? So
I think it's a tool for people to be more efficient. But
exactly.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Definitely.
So, you are a custom home builder.
Right.
And so there's a lot of non-custom home builders out there.
Sure.
So what's the difference between the two, and what differentiates you from the non-custom home builders as well as the other custom home builders?
Right. I find that, for us, especially with custom home building, our clients are typically the clients that don't want what everybody else has on the block. They have specific needs and wants. And I always tell my client, like, it's not the house that I'm going to offer you. It's a house that you're going to tell me this is what I'd like as far as finishes and design and look and elevation. And then we're going to budget and build towards that. Mm-hmm. So it's really starting from complete scratch in a lot of ways. Now, a lot of times our clients will come with ideas off the internet, just like, I really like this elevation or the way this bathroom looks.
Right.
And we'll try to incorporate that. And, and with your, builders that build pretty much model homes, things like that, they've already locked in their costs. They know exactly what their margins are going to be at the end.
The flexibility
is
of that less than what you have going with a custom home builder like Trendsetters.
We never say no, but obviously there's always a money factor in that they have to consider. So if a client wants to move a wall, or if they want to add 2 feet to the house before you've poured the foundation, that type of thing, we're definitely going to do it. If you want more expensive cabinets or higher end flooring, we're not going to say no.
Yeah. And I know that, just from a market perspective, that there's not that many other custom home builders out there. But for the other custom home builders that are out there, what differentiates you from those companies and those teams?
I think one of the advantages that we have as a company specifically is we're a family business. My brother-in-law is my business partner. He's my vice president. He's like my best buddy. We almost grew up together in a sense because I met him at the same time as I met my wife.
Okay.
So we've grown our business in 23 years in partnership. So that's great. We rely on each other very much. Tony is kind of like, we have that factor of his strengths and my strengths. They mesh very well together, and we get along really well. And then my daughter works for me as my project manager and design coordinator. My son-in-law works for me as my superintendent. My other son works as I'm like a photographer, and just keeping track of the jobs, with regard to pictures and photography. So it's a family, and my wife, she's my confidant. Like she's my attorney, my at-home attorney,
okay,
and my therapist.
Okay, there you go, all the above.
It's all wrapped into one. Thank God I have her. So she's like the silent partner, but not very silent.
Yeah, she knows what's going on.
Oh yes.
So that's probably one of your strengths is you got this family-run business that where people care about the greater mission.
Right. Yeah.
What other strengths do you think that Trendsetters has?
Well, I think for me personally, I started construction right out of high school. I mean, I had a few ideas for what my career could or would be, but I really didn't have anything specific. And by the grace of God, my uncle got me a job on a construction site in New York. and I fell in love basically on the first day. So for me, there's a passion there because I learned how to build a house from the ground up. You know what I mean? I understand all the facets of construction, and I can build a house from the ground up. Obviously, I'd need some help.
Of course.
But having that understanding of how construction works, I think is a great benefit to my clients, to my subcontractors and my vendors, because I have a general and sometimes very thorough understanding of what we're doing and how it can affect the outcome of the house. So I think that works greatly in our favor. And that type of experience, I don't think you can get out of a book or just taking a test, because I know that there are contractors that have that kind of background, and maybe their business acumen is much stronger than ours in sense to that type of education. But I think
having that industry, an understanding of it, that substantive experience.
Because I can bring the whole group together, the client, the vendor, the subcontractor, and we can talk about an issue or an idea for design that maybe some contractors aren't able to communicate with their clients about.
I think whatever industry you're in is, when you're working with people, having a substantive knowledge creates more efficiency, helps have more relevant conversations, more in-depth conversations. So I could definitely see how that's a strength.
Yeah, knowing how the house works too, I think is an important thing too, because clients have a lot of questions, because the internet's great, right? I mean, you can read all sorts of stuff about it.
Be careful.
And some of it can be, very damaging, but some of it is very helpful.
What would you advise a buyer as far as warranties go? If you're talking to a buyer who's concerned with warranties, that perhaps hasn't gone with you, but's looking at the market, seeing what type of warranties are out there, what's custom, what do you recommend, what do you not recommend, what are your thoughts about new construction warranties?
I mean, we have a program, it's a 210 builder's warranty that we pay for every client, and then you can re-up that every year if you want to keep it. And then state of Florida mandates that we have to have a structural warranty. Obviously, God forbid, it's something with concrete or
10-year.
Yeah, it's a 10-year, right? So you're familiar with that. So that's great. I mean, I've always had the approach that my clients, when we sign a contract, we become, I'm not going to say family, we're going to become friends. And sometimes in family, because I've made some great relationships, for homeowners that I've built for. But I'm going to be the guy that they call up in 4 years and say, hey, Pat, I got a leak, in my roof. Would you take care of it? Of course, or the gutter downspouts dented. I want to get it replaced. Or, hey, the house needs some painting. So we try to get that, fixed as efficiently and as fast as possible. Knowing that they can trust it. Once we build our home, they're never going to hear from us again. If there's an issue, we're going to come back and take care of it.
It's not a transaction, it's a relationship.
Exactly, because that's all of our business. I would say 95% of our business is from people referring us.
Past clients.
Yeah, or internet searches. That's how we get our business.
Good. So where do you see Trendsetters in the coming years? What are your future goals? Right now, you concentrate on Sebastian and Vero, or what?
All of Indian River County.
Where are you now, and where are you going?
Okay, yeah, we work in all of Indian River County, beachside, riverside. Right in the city limits. We work in southern Brevard County. We've worked in northern St. Lucie County. I'd like to keep it within a 40 to 50 mile radius if we can. It seems like we're gravitating more now towards the higher end, more expensive homes. We'd like to get to that part of the industry where maybe we're not building as many homes per year, but maybe less homes that are, more custom.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I really think it's important to manage the project. And I know that requires people.
Right.
And because of the challenges of our time with, people that, have the ability to do the work or want to work,
right.
I want to keep it manageable, and I want to be working with people that I trust, and obviously who better than your family?
Yeah. Good.
So that's been our goal. I want to grow this brand, and that's why my daughter and my son-in-law and my son are involved, because they have that passion, that I had when I was in my mid and late 20s. I'm not saying I don't have passion anymore. I just know that I've got the ball this far.
They've got a new passion.
I want to, okay, here, let's take this to the next level. And I want to be, in the background a little bit, helping manage the whole entire thing rather than being the face of it all the time. I want this to be something that carries on after me. You know what I mean?
Take it into the next generation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
That's our hope.
So if people are interested in learning a little bit more about Trendsetters or want to reach out if they've got a question, how can people contact you?
They can go on the internet, obviously, and go to TrendsettersConstruction.com to our website.
Okay.
We're on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel that you can check on as well. Or you can just call us at our office. Phone number is 772-589-8229. And you can ask for Pat.
Good. Pat, I appreciate you joining us. I'm Jordan Lulich. This is the Lulich Corner, and we'll see you next time.